Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. This is live stream 1252. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual. Just hanging around talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, usually tabletop role-playing game news. And for the most part, we'll usually also be taking a look at a game, sometimes RPG release. I might actually do an unboxing of a board game from time to time. Hell, you might even encounter an episode where I just chew on a topic for a while, or just chew the fat with chat. But normally we're taking a look at a game, and that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at Vaesen, Mythic Carpathia from Free League Publishing. This arrived in stores today, so you can pick this up now. It is also available in PDF over at DriveThruRPG. I'll get into all the specifics about that a little bit later, but that is what is on our agenda for this evening. Now, of course, if you are tuning in live because you want to see that first look at Mythic Carpathia, I do want to let you know we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. Probably be about 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes before we jump on into that first look. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, enjoy yourself, relax, just take it easy. We'll get to it. Of course, if you're watching this after the fact, maybe even on Memorex, there will be timestamps. They are located down in the show notes. Or, of course, depending on the device you might be watching this on, could be right there in the timeline of the video. Click on that. It'll jump right past the role-playing game news. If you want to miss it, we got some cool stuff we're going to be talking about in just a little bit. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber to the channel to take part in chat, and you must be a subscriber for at least 60 minutes. So if you can check that box off, been a subscriber for at least an hour, and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Sean O'Donnell. Semper Buffos with us, as is No Limelight Productions. Kevin's Lore, also known as Kevin R. Smith. Jeff Woody Art. Sean Mayer is also hanging with us tonight, as is J-Man. Mike. Now, today it's Mike Utah. And Kathy Evans. So welcome, everybody. And yes, it looks like, once again, YouTube is messing around with people's nicknames, handles, whatever you want to call them. So they are not the usual. Some of them are unchanged. Some of them are not. And weirdly enough, I'm thinking maybe the ones that aren't changed are not in the United States. Because I know Jeff Woody Art just wish everybody a good morning from Korea. It wouldn't Just like Neo Raven 78, I believe, is Raven, one of our usual, I almost said watchers. It's a weird, one of our usual watchers. One of our viewers who likes to join us from time to time. Alona's Cave is with us, also unchanged. I'll also take a guess. The lovely and talented Miss Sarah D might be lurking in the shadows as one of our chat moderators. You never do know. I do want to mention, still, the sinuses aren't too bad. It's more down in the chest now, but thankfully, not as bad as I sometimes will get bronchitis. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. See right there. I had to kind of clear that out a little bit. Yes. If you saw my review of Old Gods of Appalachia, yeah, I was not having an easy time of it, talking and stuff. I got through it. I muscled through it. And if you have not checked out the review, by all means, take a peek. If you're curious about Old Gods of Appalachia, the role-playing game, yes, Miss Sarah D is lurking as Tia Sarah 84. You know, funny enough, some of the little thumbnails I do recognize. So it's like, oh, okay, yes. Well, Kevin's lore is kind of obvious. Although it could be Kevin King. He's another of our viewers who likes to hang with the gang. But now there is a picture of Kevin R. Smith. So I know it. So it's Halloween week. We're going to keep on with the kind of the spooky sorts of games this week. Although Thursday's show, we will not, because we're going to do the Paizo preview for November. And there's a lot of goodies for us to get into. I'll mention that towards the close of the show. So let's dive on into the news, because there is a new Pathfinder campaign for Savage Worlds, which is up for crowdfunding. I've got to scoop on Carrion Crown from Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Pinnacle loves Pathfinder and horror, so of course we were eager to bring the Carrion Crown adventure path to our award-winning Pathfinder for Savage Worlds. The Carrion Crown box sets includes Haunting of Harrowstone, Trial of the Beast, Broken Moon, Wake of the Watcher, Ashes at Dawn, Shadows of Gallowspire, Carrion Crown's Player's Guide, a Bestiaria campaign map, adversary cards, as well as player handouts. Each of the Carrion Crown books are softcover. They do run from 60 to 96 pages each. From the whispering shadows of haunted Ustalav, an ancient evil rises to grip the world in a new age of horror. Pathfinder's darkest and most frightening campaign ever sets the heroes against the agents of Golarian's most notorious villain, the Whispering Tyrant, in a terrifying trek across a land of lurking horror and ancient mysteries. There's Haunting of Harrowstone, when cultists seeking to free the imprisoned Lich King Tar Befan violate the ruined prison of Harrowstone. The long, quiet, ghostly inmates rise in undead revolt. Trial of the Beast, when the reign of terror of a savagely cunning, I've got a cunning plan, me lord, Flesh Golem comes to an end. The enlightened folk of Liberstad insist the creature face a lawful trial. Broken Moon, the mysterious murder of Ustalav's Lord of Werewolves triggers a war in the nation's grim forests that soon spills onto the streets. There's Wake of the Watcher, when the heroes learn of an unholy bargain between the cultists of the Whispering Way and the drowned gods of the wretched town of Ilmarsh. They must journey through a wilderness gone wrong to prevent a terrible union. Ashes at Dawn, a murderer stalks the streets of Calaphas, a slasher who only hunts a particular type of victim, vampires. And then we wrap up with the conclusion, Shadows of Gallowspire. The deadly plot of the Whispering Way cultist comes to its terrifying climax in the shadows of the tower, imprisoning the Whispering Tyrant himself. You also have the Bestiary, which pulls the creatures that appear most frequently across the adventure path into a single volume. There's also the Carrion Crown's Player's Guide, which is a book which gives players all the spoiler-free background information and inspiration they'll need to create characters prepared for the horrors of the Carrion Crown adventure path. This backer kit is fully funded. I should say backer kit project is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the box set with PDFs for a $125 pledge. If you want to just score the PDFs alone, you can do so for a $50 pledge through November 14th. Expected fulfillment is June of next year. Yes. On a related side note, I was running Pathfinder for Savage Worlds last night with the gang. Yes, if you've been watching lately, I was talking about how I was going to be running Rise of the Rune Lords. And I started off with Castles and Crusades. And I like Castles and Crusades, but it was just dragging. Just the goblin attack on the town of Sandpoint took hours. And it was like, my gosh. And it was not necessarily the fault of Castles and Crusades. It was also the players rolling really terrible dice. Every time you turned around and be like, what die do I roll? What do I need to roll here? Yeah. You got to put up with that. So I thought, you know what? I do want to run this adventure. I do want to run this adventure path, but seeing that we can't get together all that often, I want to do something where I can at least run through things quickly. And Pathfinder for Savage Worlds and Savage Worlds in general will allow you to do that. Some of the minor combats you can just sort of tackle narratively as opposed to sitting there rolling a bunch of dice. So we had a good time, and we actually got through a good chunk of set pieces. I will say one thing about, from what I have seen with the Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, Rise of the Rune Lords, is I guess Paizo has an agreement with Pinnacle Entertainment Group that they're, because the thing is, all the combat encounters, they're all ported over, which that's not how Savage Worlds works. Savage Worlds doesn't delve too heavily into like a constant barrage of combat encounters like you see with D&D and Pathfinder. But I guess there's some sort of deal in place that they will not, like gloss over any of the combat encounters and stuff like that. Jeff Woodyart says that's kind of the weakness of old OSR games. I think they can drag. New school games are fixing this. I like getting to the action, running through the action more than role play. I can see where you're coming from, but then again, if you take a look at it, I mean, we can discuss a little more after the news, but as far as the way 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons was designed, it was designed so that your combat encounters should have only taken 3 rounds or less, but that usually was not the case. It's like I find 5e combat to drag. But, if all you're going to do is just, okay, I'm going to swing my axe every time it's your turn, well, yeah, it's going to drag and it's not going to be very exciting either. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Carrion Crown for Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, which I am liking. I am liking quite a bit because I think it captures the Pathfinder experience without all that additional crunch, which would absolutely confuse most of my gang. So there you have it. All righty. Chris Lundgren is with us with both his wife and his cockatiel, his ever-changing name wife. I just tease. Sometimes it's Lisa, Louisa. I don't know. Tomato. Although I don't think she's gone by either of those names, but I'm just throwing it out there. Jeff Woodyard says, yeah, 5e doesn't do it right. I think Shadow Dark does it better. And funny enough, Shadow Dark is firmly entrenched in the tenets of the OSR. How's about that? Moving right along. Let's tackle our next news piece because Mongoose Publishing has released the latest supplement for the Paranoia role-playing game. And I've got the lowdown on the powers that be. Trust no one. Troubleshooters are more than just dangerous twits who tend to accidentally destroy more than they intended to destroy. They are also unwitting and often witless pawns in the power struggles of anyone who has authority, wealth, or very lax morals. Are rivals getting too full of themselves? Make up a reason to send over a troubleshooter team, and enough things tend to die or explode that those rivals are back to square one and finding their own troubleshooting teams to send over for payback. Is this abusing the purpose of troubleshooting? Yes, but no one cares, except for the game master, because in this game, abusing power is their bread and butter. Powers that be trust no one is a big supplement going into details on all 8 service groups and all 13 secret societies, including the return of the Illuminati. Well, there are some lore details also included, such as possible origins and different departments and cells. Most of this book is dedicated to making troubleshooters' lives more interesting. A specific section in each write-up, how they mess with troubleshooters, with scenes to drop into any mission so players stay on their toes, including flimsy excuses for what triggered those scene drops, so GMs can claim to be nice. There are weird mini games for more scenes, such as a B3 taste test or sticking forks into outlets to see if they have power. Isn't that how you're supposed to check an outlet? It's like if you need to see if there's gasoline in the gas can, you light a match and take a close look. Of course, you'll win a Darwin Award if you do that. Different service group departments and secret society cells that can pull troubleshooters in different directions. Their leaders and those who want to usurp those leaders so the troubleshooters can get caught in a power struggle. There are more favors that players can buy with Moxie, so they have more ways to get each other in trouble, including printable but small handouts to remind players of what kind of favors are available. Multiple mission prompts so GMs can quickly and more maliciously create their own missions for troubleshooters to screw up. Everyone knows someone behind the curtain is always pulling the troubleshooter strings. Buy this book to have more string pullers than the players know what to deal with. The 128-page hardcover with PDF, if you order from Mongoose Publishing, carries an MSRP of $49.99. You can now grab just the PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Well. I have some other Mongoose Publishing releases they sent along for me to review. I got them just before the month kicked off. And all month long, we've tried to focus more on spooky games and spooky role-playing releases. But come November, we're going to dive further in. Now, of course, I do not have a copy of this, but I do have a copy of the first, I want to say it's the first adventure collection for Paranoia. I also have High Guard for Traveler, as well as the equipment catalog. I forget the catalog's got a specific name. So we are going to be taking a peek at those in the not too distant future. Let's see, who else have we had pop into chat? No one. All right. Well, hey, nobody. Oh, actually, Tessie Trekkie is with us, as is, I don't think I said hello to W Forge. So there you have it. So I thought I saw some new names popping on in. Gotta be honest, I have noticed our viewership on the live stream. It's dipped a little bit. We were hitting on average, not live, but we were around 500 for most episodes for a bit. Now we're back down into the 300s. It's like, okay. W Ford says they're waiting for the GUI Cube product first looks in November. Later on after the news, I am going to talk about the first week of November. I am not going to be doing any shows. Live shows, that is. I will be doing a bunch of pay shows. No, I'm joking. It will be pay shows. I will be sharing a bunch of videos, but I am going to take the week off. Like I do every quarter, I take a week off. All right, moving right along. Let's save you some money on role-playing games, because Cthonstone Games, I don't even know if I pronounced that correctly, has teamed with Bundle of Holding. Yet I've got the deets on the Nightmares Underneath deal. Adventure. Bundle of Holding has resurrected the August 2023 Nightmares Underneath bundle, featuring, well, I'm sure you've guessed it, the Nightmares Underneath, the old school horror fantasy tabletop role-playing game from Cthonstone Games. The physical world faces invasion by deadly incursions from the realm of nightmares that manifest as dungeons. To destroy the incursion, your fantasy adventurers must risk nightmarish curses, face the dungeon's monsters, and loot its treasures. Use your loot to improve your home community, making it more prosperous and helpful for your expeditions into the ruins from the Age of Chaos, where you might find items of great magical power to banish the nightmares. The Nightmares Underneath, a standalone game by Johnston Metzger, creatively adapts the systems common to old school fantasy RPGs. Gotta like that. Gotta love that. Replacing hit points with disposition and introducing new alignment and spell casting rules. This revival gives you a new chance to get the complete Nightmares Underneath core rulebook. Actually, you'll get both first and second editions, plus many incursions, monsters, and hex crawls for an unbeatable bargain price. For just $9.95, you'll get all three titles in this revived offer's Nightmare Starter Collection, which has a retail value of $45, as DRM-free ebooks, including the complete Nightmares Underneath core rulebook, the straightforwardly named Dungeon Full of Monsters, and a 36-page book of Dungeon Incursions, City of Poison. And if you pay more than the current threshold price, or at least it was current as of this afternoon, you'll level up and also get 3 bonus nightmares worth an additional $60, including the Nightmare Spellbook, the Nameless Grimoire, the large-scale wilderness sandbox setting, Only Monsters Here, and the Metamorphica, a system-agnostic resource to generate mutations for dark fantasy, horror, transhuman science fiction, post-apocalypse, and even superhero campaigns. These savings will run through November 5th. So I could have sworn the Nightmares Underneath had kind of a Middle Eastern flavor. Because I seem to recall sharing a news piece when the core book came out, not the other releases, but I could have swore that there's kind of because it is like a fantasy setting. It's not modern or anything like that, as far as I know. But I thought it's got kind of a Asian, Middle Eastern vibe to it. I might be wrong, but for some reason that seemed to be popping in my head. RPG design Lord Cost 2000, and I think that's the two new folk popping on in. So welcome to you both. I gotta say, RPG design doesn't ring a bell, but then once again, it could be, a regular viewer. But of course, with the goofiness going on with YouTube and your names, I don't know. I have no idea. The Madman has joined us. Yes, it is Halloween week. So we know it is a busy week for the Madman because he's terrorizing all of the local children up in Michigan. Because of the haunted house that he concocts on a yearly basis. Troy Cornelson is with us. Welcome, Troy. Good to see you once again. Moving right along, Lazy Wolf Studios is releasing a Tales of the Valiant adventure collection in hardcover. And here's the latest on Thrones and Bones, the Bence Trilogy, A Land in Need of Heroes. The Bence Trilogy is a new hardcover compilation of 3 adventures previously released in softcover. Banner of the Bull, Keeper of the Drowned, and Troll of the Town. Together with expanded setting material, these 3 adventures are designed to take a character from 1st to 4th level. There's Banner of the Bull. All communication with a ringed fortress near the border of Norengard has gone dark. The Jarl of Bence needs someone to journey there and learn what has happened. Keeper of the Drowned. The sacred statue of the goddess Njun has been stolen by merfolk. Damn you, merfolk! And dragged into their subaquatic caves. The Jarl of Bence seeks heroes to brave the cold waters, confront the merfolk, and recover the stolen statue before the city of Bence is lost beneath pounding tidal waves. And then to wrap up, we've got Troll of the Town. Wonder if that's anything like Coward of the County. Yeah, that's kind of a deep cut. Something has been sneaking into the city of Bence at night and stealing from its citizens. Tracks in the dirt suggest it can be only one thing: a forest troll. The Jarl wants the matter dealt with swiftly. Man, this Jarl is just a pain in everybody's ass, isn't he? Man, don't be an adventurer in the town of Bence. The Jarl won't leave you alone. For a brave band of heroes, it's time to go on a troll hunt. Written by Lou Anders, Brian Suskind, and Kelly Pollack, and set in the Scandinavian-inspired city of Bence. This new compilation is the ideal companion for the book-length adventure Fury of the Forsaken. Together, the 2 volumes are a perfect introduction to playing a campaign in the great northern land of Norengard. While this adventure can be played with 5e source books, it is actually intended for Kobold Press's Tales of the Valiant. The 140-page premium hardcover, important to keep in mind, it is the premium hardcover, is available over at DriveThruRPG for $64.99. If you want to just grab the PDF, you can do so for $24.99. Captain Finity, Time Travel Police, Reading Aid, and Sean Mayer are all with us in chat. We got a nice chat rocking and rolling tonight. Sean Mayer says, those merfolk are known for their cowardly thieving. On to our final news piece. Chaosium Inc. has released a new introductory RuneQuest adventure in PDF. Here's what I know about The Hunt for the Stormcalf, a standalone scenario for RuneQuest. On the plains of Prax, a fabled Stormcalf has descended from the heavens to bless the tribe that captures it. This is perfect for new players. The Hunt for the Stormcalf contains everything for a riveting adventure in the far east of Dragon Pass. Designed for new players, this scenario contains pre-generated characters, maps, and you only need the RuneQuest starter set. Meet the denizens of Prax and expand the setting of Glorantha as you play. The Lith Sable Riders, the Divine Unicorn Women, the Fearsome Rhino Riders, and the Peculiar Morocanth await new players on their first RuneQuest adventure. RuneQuest, the Hunt for the Stormcalf, is designed for use with, as I mentioned, the starter set, or you can go with the core book, RuneQuest Roleplaying in Glorantha. Can also be combined with other titles in the RuneQuest line to enhance your gaming experience. The 36-page PDF has arrived over at DriveThruRPG for $6.99. Always very happy to see new introductory adventures for RuneQuest because it is an excellent system. It is a really unique setting. I know it scares a lot of people off just because the amount of detail and amount of content over the decades that expand upon the Gloranthan myth and legend and history and so forth. So it's good to see another introductory adventure come out. Very, very cool. And sounds like should be a pretty interesting tale as well. All righty then. That is it for the news this evening. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. More than a few, actually. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of the drive-through like comics, fiction, cards, so forth, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And that actually really keeps thegaminggang.com around month in and month out. Something else to also keep in mind when I'm taking a look at a role-playing game release, such as tonight's peek at Mythic Carpathia for Vaesen, I always share a DriveThruRPG link to the PDF in those show notes. So if you're like, oh, hey, yeah, maybe you see something in reviews as well. I do the same thing. Take a look at the show notes. If you're like, yeah, I want to pick that up in PDF. Use that link because then, you don't screw around. You're not going over to thegaminggang.com. It's going to take you right to the release that I'm talking about. And it will also have the affiliate code. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can actually support the outlet in a couple of other ways. One, by sending me decongestant. I have to be really careful with what I take for this kind of stuff. Don't want it interfering with meds. Yeah, everybody, man, I took some decongestant, man. All right, so today we're taking a look at like, Mythic Carpathia from Free League Publishing. Yeah, so I have to be careful what, and for other reasons too. I mean, I don't want to have a stroke. Hey, chest is cleared up a little bit. No thanks. Anyway, So you can make a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. No, it's a witchy brew. Wetting the old whistle here. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And on the live shows, I always give a shout out to our Patreon members. So big thank you to Gustavo Cavalho, my designer friend Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Max Apocalypse, Sean O'Donnell, Talzek, Dan Webb, Game Cat, Kevin King, Pete Stracklich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, as well as Agile Monk, Flynn's Fireforge, and the Madman. Thank you, everybody. It is much appreciated. All right. Let's see. Taco Loco has joined us. W Forge says, Jeff, the drunken game master. I have run some games. I wouldn't say I was utterly hammered, but I have played quite a few games after having a few belts of an adult beverage. So, but I've never been like completely hammered running a role-playing game. No, not at all. Anyway, as I mentioned, we'll be taking a look at Mythic Carpathia in just a couple of moments. I wanted to thank everybody for their birthday wishes. Much appreciated. If you follow me on social media, quite a lot of people were wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you very much for that. We got together over at my brother's house on Friday because that was my birthday. Also, my sister-in-law's birthday. And then on Saturday, it was my mom's birthday. So we normally get together on my sister-in-law and my birthday to celebrate all three. So that was nice. I actually got a baseball cap from my niece, which I wore for the Old Gods of Appalachia review. And it says, I read the rules, so you don't have to. And I took it out of the bag and I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, other people have to read the rules too. I'm like, hey. But it's kind of a cool cap. So that was nice. That was pretty cool. I got some, cool little goodies. So I was very happy to see that. And gotta say, my brother, now granted, I have seen some quick videos of the Madman's haunted house, his Halloween spectacular he sets up. My brother's house doesn't come anywhere near that, but still pretty impressive. They got a lot of stuff out on their front lawn and their like kind of side lawn. And supposedly, I guess the neighbors, or at least the neighborhood, is always super excited to see what he's doing for Halloween. It's always, not always the same decorations, but he reuses a lot of the stuff year after year. But it was kind of cool. Pop on over there and check that out because I hadn't seen it yet. So that was pretty nice too. So, and then as I already mentioned, yesterday we got together. Elliot could not make it. And that was another reason why I wanted to go in the direction of Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, because it's really easy to have some NPC allies to just slip right on in there to kind of take up some of the slack without me having to role play those NPCs constantly and try to run the adventure and those NPCs. So yeah. So good weekend. We had a good weekend. Sorry to say the nonsense with the sinuses and, the congestion and crap like that. But, other than that, it was all good. Man says, oh my, from what I've seen at your brother's house, it looked fantastic. Man approved. Oh yeah, it's very cool. But I mean, it's not like, if I remember right, the Madman, it's like you go on a tour It's not just, oh, hey, I'm looking around the front yard. Oh, yeah, that's really cool. No, it's like a tour. And if you survive it, you get a full-size candy bar. If you survive. And I guess also if you're a kid who's too terrified to actually go anywhere near there, the madman dresses up like Jason and hands out candy. I know what it is. It's just a whole scheme to be able to keep all that candy. I get it. I see how it works. So, No Limelight Productions asked, when was my birthday? It was Friday. I turned years old. So, 58. It is what it is. It's like, yeah. Yes, Madman says if the kids run away, then he gets all the candy. Yes. All righty. So, we're going to dive in. We're going to take a look at Mythic Carpathia for the Vaesen role-playing game from my friends over at Free League Publishing in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Have you ever walked through a graveyard late at night and seen a coffin open?
Have you ever thought what it would be like to see a person's head amputated?
Think of things so horrible that the human mind cannot imagine them.
See all this and more when you see on stage, in person,
That crazy mixed up Dr. Evil and his terrors of the unknown.
unlike anything that you ever seen or heard of in the past.
Hideous creatures from beyond the grave. Leave the stage and grab girls right out of their seats.
Girls, do not come alone. Bring your boyfriend to protect you when the lights go out.
You may find a live snake or rat under your seat.
A real dead body is given away to some lucky person at every performance.
Also, in person.
The Mummy and King Kong, famous Hollywood gorilla, real and alive.
Plus, on the screen, 2 horrific motion pictures.
Dr. Evil and his terrors of the unknown.
Plus, 2 horrific pictures.
And Channel 47 want kids to have a bright and safe Halloween. Once again this year, Rayovac is providing free personal kid-size flashlights for use when trick-or-treating Halloween night. These flashlights will light the way to safer rounds of the neighborhoods. To get your flashlight, just come to any Madison Burger King on October 30th and ask for one. No purchase is necessary, and Burger King will give you a special treat bag and a coupon good for the soft drink of your choice. But the supply is limited, so get to Burger King early. And remember, be safe this Halloween. Wear light-colored costumes, be extra careful crossing streets, and ask your parents to check your treats and throw out any unwrapped ones just to be safe. We'll help with free flashlights from Rayovac and a special treat from Burger King just for the asking. It all happens Thursday, October 30th only at the Madison Burger King near you. And happy Halloween from Rayovac, Burger King, and Channel 47.
There's goblins, there's ghouls, there's pirates about. Halloween's coming, the trick-or-treaters are out. But look at that witch on Halloween night. She's the first one with a blinking pumpkin light. Pumpkin light flashes so everyone knows she is near. Pumpkin light makes Halloween safer and scarier this year. And pumpkin light safer for a spooky pumpkin too. Just pop it right in and watch your pumpkin go boo.
Pumpkin Light is available at Osco, Purity Supreme, Spags, and Leewards.
It was a Halloween party where fantasies come true. I put on Showtime makeup and did a dance or two. The boys and ghouls were hanging out like Vamp and Tigress too. My Showtime face was all in place then, Rock Angel, I saw you.
It's Showtime, the adult Halloween makeup. Showtime is hypoallergenic, more comfortable than masks, more fun too.
You know you are my fantasy, but I can't speak to you.
Make up a Halloween fantasy with Showtime makeup.
What happened to you?
I lost my head over Wilkins Instant Coffee. Have a cup?
Yow!
What do you suppose upset him?
Är du vampyr?
Hade du tyckt om mig ändå?
Vill du bli ihop med mig?
All right. So if you've got kids hanging around, cover their ears for a minute. Because I'm kind of confused about a few things here. First of all, they're giving away a dead body to a lucky person? What? Plus, heads get decapitated. That's the term. Not amputated, they get decapitated. And it's the real King Kong, alive. Really, in the theater? Okay. All right, so I'm confused with that. I'm also confused. So to get the free flashlight, the kids dress up in their Halloween costumes and go over to Burger King the day before Halloween? It's like, what? Dad, we're dressed up in our costumes so we can go get that free flashlight and goodie bag and a coupon for a free drink. But we got to wear our costumes, even though it's not Halloween. What the hell's going on here? Just goes to show you that it's not only modern commercials where somebody's not thinking. They go back a ways too. And yes, that is Let the Right One In. And there's a theme tonight, right? Let the Right One In is excellent. Somebody had just asked, W Forge asked, is this Let Me In? And yes, that was the American remake, which is actually in its own right a pretty decent movie. Not as good as the original. So no, Limelight Productions says they're not the biggest fan of subtitles, so they preferred the American remake. I don't mind subtitles at all. I will watch something. In fact, funny enough, just watched a documentary on Netflix about what happened with the Montreal Expos, what caused them to move to Washington to become the Senators. And I didn't realize that a vast majority of this documentary was going to be in French. So I was like, okay. So wasn't expecting a bunch of subtitles, but that's fine. Shazama85 is joining us. Says they saw kids dress up for Halloween on Sunday when they went to the mall at the Target. Well, I could see like if they're doing like a trunk or treat kind of thing, or malls will do like, it's, come and get candy, whatever. I get it. I understand that. Back in the day when I was a kid, we just went door to door. We had stones. Sometimes we got stones. I got candy. I got a gum. I got a rock. But yeah, well, it's the pussification of each generation. They get, Sean Mayer says, they're from Montreal. They cried when the Expos left. Yeah, it's kind of a bullshit story. One day you might see an expansion team return to Montreal. Mike says, hell, they dress up every evening for the live show. Their high heels are killing them. All right, well, that's a personal, private thing. we don't necessarily need to discuss. All right, so tonight we're going to dive on in. We are going to take a first look at Mythic Carpathia, or the Vaesen role-playing game from Free League Publishing. This actually arrived in stores today. Carries an MSRP of $44.99. It includes a PDF if you order from Free League Publishing. Now, if you want to just score the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $21.99. Swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Mythic Carpathia. Let's get the shrink wrap off. Shazam 85 says, events for Halloween since parents want to get the most out of those costumes. That I believe. Plus, a lot of times, especially as you become an adult, you'll have parties that it's usually like the Saturday night before Halloween, if for whatever reason you don't have Halloween falling on that Saturday. W4 asks, who's rooting for the Blue Jays? Who's rooting for the Dodgers? I am rooting for the Blue Jays, which, as a National League fan, I would normally root for a National League team. But, I mean, come on. Dodgers have, over $1 billion in payroll on the books? Not for the season, but, I mean, overall, it's like, come on. The sport really doesn't need a salary cap. Sorry, it's just a fact. All right, so a couple of things to mention. Let's flip this back over. I like this cover art. Very, very nice. My friends over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But of course, as per usual, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's very important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book. But I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside. I think there might be a couple of adventures in here. They might be short adventures. So if you're a player and your game master has ordered this, or maybe they're picking this up, maybe they're talking about picking this up. Just letting you know, even though I know nothing about I know what was in the news pieces, but outside of that, I really don't have any idea what we're going to see. So might be some spoilers as we're flipping on through. Kevin R. Smith says they got to root for the Blue Jays. As a Reds fan, they remember when the Dodgers were division rivals. Yes, I remember that. All right, let's dig in. Venture into Mythic Carpathia to face vampires, rusalkas, Baba Yaga, and other even stranger horrors of Central and Eastern European folklore. Wander the busy streets of Prague, where history and myths collide. Visit old cities, deep forests, and high mountains to face creatures beyond belief. I don't know, I can believe quite a bit. This beautifully illustrated hardback expansion to the award-winning Vaesen Nordic Horror Roleplaying includes information about the Carpathia branch of the society, a gazetteer of the city of Prague, a chapter with local Vaesen, and 3 complete mysteries to play. There you go. I thought we had some adventures in here. Mythic Carpathia is illustrated by acclaimed artists Johan Egerkrans, Anton Vitus, and Francesca Berald. And then it tells us what's in here, but you know what? We're going to be peeking ourselves. Roger Perdome has joined us. Welcome aboard. All right, first thing we'll do is take a peek at the credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. Quite a lot of writers. I'm kind of surprised by how many writers were involved in this. Nice. Of course, we just took a look at the new starter set, which also landed in stores today. The revised edition of the rule book also hit today. And City of My Nightmares, I don't think is out in stores yet, but the PDF did come out. So we're going to take a look at this on tomorrow's show. Yeah, we're going to go back to back. Actually, we're going to go 3 in a row because on last Thursday's show was the taking a peek at the starter set as well as the revised core rulebook. So we're going to start off with Mythic Carpathia, the Carpathian Society, Vaesen of Carpathia, A Treaty of Blood, one of the mysteries, A Gathering Storm, and The Secret of the Maharal. Those are our 3 tales. So it looks like we're clocking in probably about, I think it's 132 pages, if I remember correctly. We'll find out as we take a peek through. Got a bibliography. Welcome to Mythic Carpathia, a Vaesen version of Central and Eastern Europe. In the 19th century, this region was torn by wars and dominated by 3 powerful empires: Austro-Hungary, the Kingdom of Prussia, and the Russian Empire. They kept a tight grip on the many nations under their rule. Among those nations were countless people from various ethnic groups who had lived on these territories for centuries. They knew what strange creatures populated the night, and they learned, often the hard way, to live with them. Reading Aid says it's interesting to see what's going to happen with Free League, their Lord of the Rings license, after the Asmodee news came out last week. I have not actually taken a deep dive into that. But as I mentioned last week, the rights holders for the Tolkien estate, it's a specific company that negotiates the deals. The license for role-playing games is not part of the license for tabletop games. So I don't know if there has been a change. So I don't know. Like I said, I have not really actually had an opportunity to dig too deep. But I'll probably take a peek if I remember after the show. But that's something to keep in mind. If the deal is made with Asmodee for them to do like tabletop games, like board games, that doesn't mean anything for role-playing games. And as I pointed out last week, and not looking for trouble by saying this, I think people in the industry already, would vouch for this. The company that handles the licensing for Tolkien is supposed to be very, very difficult to work with. So I've been told. All I know. All right. So we get a map of Mythic Carpathia. Looks like some background information about some of the cities like Krakow, Budapest. I prefer saying Budapest, but RPG Design says there are plenty of Lord of the Rings board games already. Yeah. Kevin R. Smith says supposedly all the current licenses will continue, but they will all be administered by Asmodee, at least for now. Okay, well, I mean, really, nothing is changing. Let's take a look at this. We'll talk a little Lord of the Rings, at least my thoughts on it. Okay, so history of Prague. It's funny, I almost went and lived in Prague when I was about 32 years old. I was kicking around going to Prague and being an English as second language teacher. And then, because on one hand, I kept hearing that it was a pretty solid way to make money. And of course, I would like to check out other countries. And I kind of was kicking it around. And I kind of found out that actually it wasn't as profitable as people thought. And you could get assigned someplace that was like the middle of nowhere. So it wasn't like, oh, well, I would be in Prague. And I guess, it's a city that, not knowing the language isn't going to kill you. So, right? Because, there are people who understand English and that. But, I was like, could get thrown into like the boonies? No, I don't think so. All right. So, looks like we've got some history of Prague. And going to give us a breakdown of what is the city like, as in today, the current timeline for Vaesen. So if you are not familiar with Vaesen, it is late 19th century. Captain Affinity says Prague's an awesome place to visit. They made a marriage proposal on the Charles Bridge. Hey, very cool. W. Ford says when Decipher had a Lord of the Rings license, it was only to make RPGs based on the movie versions of Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of wild, just like Rings of Power, to my knowledge. Now, granted, this has nothing to do with the tabletop gaming side of the IP, but they only have the rights to use what's in the Silmarillion. It's like, okay. All right, thanks. Thanks a lot. Okay, so looks like this is a breakdown of the city itself, different locations. So we have contacts. These are helpful individuals or institutions. All people should be named by the game master or players. Feel free to play out a scene as the player characters recruit the contact. We have the Aviation Society. They make balloons. Puppeteers. Prague is well known for its moving puppets, which are used in the theaters, including street theaters, and as children's toys in many homes. Rare books in Pravda's secret library. Now we're going to get into our Vaesen. There's Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is a powerful Vaesen from Eastern Europe who appears as an old, frightened woman with iron teeth and a bone leg. Once, she was revered as a forest goddess, with people offering sacrifices and praying for the health of their children or abundant harvests. With the rise of Christianity, she suffered the fate of many old idols, demonization, and eventual obscurity. Now she lives deep in the forest in a hut that stands on chicken legs, harboring resentment towards humankind that she once helped. At night, she enjoys flying in her giant mortar, summoning storms or abducting children. Some say she eats them. There you go. RPG design is just pointed out. Role-playing games like The One Ring and Adventures in Middle-earth, which is now Lord of the Rings role-playing, also with Free League, are not part of Asmodee's current remit. These licenses remain with current publishers. Like I figured that's how it was going to work. Yeah, so Asmodee now oversees all board games, card games, and tabletop gaming accessories based on the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. You'll also notice RPG design does not mention miniatures, because I still think Games Workshop holds the license for miniatures games based on the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. That's cool. Who is that? Oh, it's a Damphir. Sometimes vampires seduce mortal women, resulting in the birth of Damphirs. They usually die at birth, but those who survive are neither human nor vampire, but half-breeds of both species. Yeah, Blade! Most of the children are male, although from time to time, Dhampir girls are born as well. That is very cool artwork. Definitely digging that. Get the golem. So here it is going to be a creature from Jewish folklore. So that's cool. I think it looked like there was a small section in the Prague portion of the book that was kind of, they weren't necessarily Jewish ghettos, but they were like Jewish neighborhoods, which is something that you would see a lot of European cities do. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. It is an evil female spirit, a thief of talents, fate, and good luck. They can prey upon any unprotected person, but prefer pregnant women and their unborn babies. Creepy. Yeah, that's these Central Europe kind of monsters of legend are pretty weird. A reading aid asks if the artist for Vaesen also is the artist for Dragonbane. Yes, some of the art from Dragonbane is also Johan Egerkrans. Wow, a lot of creatures here with very difficult to pronounce, at least for me. Different names here. If you're not familiar with Vaesen, it is an investigative horror game. It is sort of a gothic feel to the proceedings. The player characters belong to a society which investigates unusual sort of supernatural occurrences. I want to say that I think all of the player characters actually can detect Vaesen. They're aware of Vaesen because a lot of times most people can't see them, but the investigators can. I've pointed this out when I've reviewed some of the adventures. This has a very unique feel to it. And many of the adventures have a bit of a feel of melancholy and loss. And I like that a lot. I don't know how easy it is for every game master out there to bring that to the fore at the game table. But a lot of times the Vaesen or the people who've been wronged, who've turned to the supernatural for revenge or, petty spite, whatever, they're not necessarily just mustache twirling villains. I like that a ton. I really do. The rules are very rules light. This is built off of the Year One engine. So you're rolling 6-sided dice. You're looking to roll successes on it. If I remember correctly, it is still the 6 on a 6-sided die. Because some of the some of the Year Zero engine role-playing games out there from Free League Publishing are tweaked a little bit. So sometimes you roll different dice, not 6-sided. Sometimes you got 4, 6, 8, 10 based on the skill level of the character. Sometimes you need like a 4 or higher. But here, I haven't started taking a peek at the starter set yet, but I do want to say that if I remember correctly, you're looking at pools of 6-sided dice and you're looking to roll a 6 to succeed. So W4 says the beginning of the investigation is to learn how to pronounce the monsters' names. RPG Design asks, does Vaesen have the same stat blocks as Dragonbane? No. They are two completely different systems. powered by different mechanics. The secret of the Maharol. This mystery takes the player characters to 19th century Prague. Oh, well, I wonder why. It's like, how many pages were just devoted to the city? A city of many cultures and, in a way, a city of many cities, consisting of several diverse urban entities merged together. Well, as we can see, this is going to utilize a golem. So let's see what we've got here. Little spoiler alert. I'm going to check out. This might be, this looks like this might be a bit of a synopsis. Such information may not have been unusual after all. Prague is a large city in the 19th century. However, it is notable for the nature of the victims' injuries, indicating the use of enormous force. So it looks like the player characters are investigating some deaths. One might even say unnatural great force. People of different communities are being killed, triggering fears of religious unrest. All the victims have only one thing in common. They were killed at night. Virtually helpless, the city police are turning to various associations and groups, including Kabbalists, spiritualists, and experts in ancient cultures and beliefs for help. The city is on the verge of declaring a state of emergency and sending in the army. After all, riots could break out at any moment. Some think that the crimes are religiously motivated, but not even the faintest of clues have been discovered. Well, we got a big clue right there. Spoiler alert. But as far as stat blocks, this is what you're looking at. These are our NPCs. Pretty short, pretty much to the point. Chris Lundgren's curious about the setting. Setting of Vaesen is late 19th century. You can roll it into the early 20th. I would say if you stick to the first decade of the 20th century, still pretty similar. We are looking at 1880s through maybe like 1910. But as far as the adventures, I don't think there's anything that's been published by Freely Publishing which takes place outside of the 19th century. All right, so we've got our handouts for our 3 adventures. Is it 136? That's what I seem to remember. It is 136 pages for the hardcover here. Of course, I'm going to have a review of Vaesen in the not too distant future. We do have a map. If you're curious, paper stock's very nice in the book. This has a nice matte finish. All the pages have a matte finish. That's why you didn't see any glare as I'm flipping on through. So here we've got our map of Mythic Carpathia once again. And it looks as if we have little Vaesen on the map. That's kind of cool. That looks like that's a golem there. And then I'm going to take a guess. This is Prague. So we've got some keyed locations. Yes, the Charles Bridge. So yes, it is Prague. Nice. So there you have it. That is a first look at Vaesen Mythic Carpathia from Free League Publishing. Reading Aid says, gotta say, Free League is batting 1,000. Only thing that I have run across from Free League Publishing that I honestly disliked was the Tales from the Loop starter set. I gave it a negative review. because it was, especially when you compare it to other starter sets that Free League Publishing had done. I was like, there's nothing in this. This is it's an adventure in there that's going to take maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 tops to play. It was like, what? It's like, so Chris Lundgren's asking, are there any vampire options? Yes, we have vampires and Dhampir in here as well. So once again, this landed in stores today. It does carry an MSRP of $44.99. If you order from Free League Publishing, you will get the PDF absolutely free. If you want to just get the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $21.99. Sweet. So stay tuned. We're going to have some, like I said, I don't think I am going to review the revised rule book, because I just think things have been kind of streamlined a little bit. I don't think a ton of stuff has been changed. But I will have the starter set review. I will have Mythic Carpathia. And then tomorrow we're going to actually take a look at City of My Nightmares. I know they're not talking about Detroit. I'm just joking. I'm just teasing the madman. Chris Leonard asks, do you need the starter box or the core? Well, I would say if you were going to be willing to play with pre-generated characters from the starter set, you could go with the starter set. Although, I got to say, I have not read the starter box yet. But I will take a guess. I don't recall there being character creation rules in there. I think we had the pre-gens. I would think it should be fine. I mean, the reality is, Vaesen is not a rules-heavy role-playing game whatsoever. It is, I don't want to say it's rules light. It is far more in the rules light camp than it is in even, like moderately crunchy rules. Once again, you've got your attributes, you've got your skills, you've got your dice pools. I remember right. So you got to remember, I go through so many core rule books and stuff. And then there are tweaks to the Year Zero engine that get made. Like Twilight 2000 4th edition, that is Year Zero engine. But that Year Zero engine looks nothing like the Year Zero engine that powers Mutant Year Zero, right? So it's like the concepts are the same. The execution, the different dice, things like that, those are different. So I'm trying to remember if memory serves, for Vaesen, you've got your attributes. You've also got your skills that are built on attributes. And you actually will take your dice pool from your attribute and your skill, put them together. That's what you roll. And you're looking for a 6 on 6-sided dice for your successes. So most of the time you're rolling like 3 or 4 dice. If it's something you're decent at, it's 3 dice. If it's something that you're kind of specialized in, you might be rolling 4, even 5 dice trying to get a 6. So it's kind of how it works. So there you go. Chris Lundgren says that they bought the Stranger Things starter set for D&D because of my coverage of it. We have a little bit of time. We can kind of tackle that. Here's the thing. It's not a starter set. That's what I don't get, because as we took a look at one of the things that I don't necessarily want to say bothers me about Wizards of the Coast right now, because There are so many publishers out there that I share reviews of and first looks and news and all that. I'm not tied into any one publisher, and Wizards of the Coast is certainly far from like the front of the line as far as this outlet goes. I don't understand the way that they're marketing D&D right now. So remember the box set, the actual starter set is being presented as a board game. It is even in the sell sheet information referring to it as a board game. I just saw there's some video, and of course, everybody and their uncle comes out of the shadows to share their D&D videos and how D&D's dead. And goofy nonsense like that. But there was one video and it said something like, the title was kind of clickbaity and something along the lines of, what is Dungeons and Dragons trying to do with this new board game? And it showed the starter set. And it's like, it's still a role-playing game. It's not a board game. It's got the trappings of a board game. It is still a role-playing game. It is a role-playing game. You've got a little rule book in there. You've got adventure booklets in there. It's not like, oh, okay, roll dice, move on a board, or, you have so many actions each round to move across the countryside in the wilderness. No, it's still a role-playing game. So I don't understand that. And then we get and I have not delved into it yet. Wizards of the Coast kind of is falling into the Paizo category with me. And, God love Paizo. They send me all their new releases all the time. You know my beef. They never share any of the coverage from me. Never. They never share Sammy's written reviews. They never share my videos, what have you. So it's now getting to the point. I'm all for getting that, Paizo preview out there so people get to see stuff before it goes on sale so they can make an informed buying decision. They're not reviews, but at least you get to see this stuff. I'm not necessarily like in a big hurry to get reviews out because I know it's like, yeah, whatever. And it's mainly the people they've got in marketing now, because when Aaron Shanks was there, he was a huge fan of our coverage. But then again, he wasn't terrified of me. So there's that. J-Man says, they got the Welcome to Hellfire box set as well. It's great as a product. They were surprised by Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, did the first look. There was a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff in the starter set for D&D. If you took the adventure portion away from it, it would have been a 10 out of 10. It is that good. The new take on Keep on the Borderlands is like a 5 out of 10, maybe if I'm being generous. I did like some of the set piece encounters in the wilderness. Not all of them, but there were a couple that I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like that. I could work with that. The keep itself is it's like, as an adventurer, I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Let's get the hell out of here. There's nothing to do. But anywho, as far as the starter sets go, I would say that with Mythic Carpathia, once again, if your players are cool with using the pre-gens that come in the starter set, I'm going to take a guess that you're going to have all you need. All you need in there. I could be wrong. I could be absolutely incorrect. Rating 8S, is the revised rulebook available? Yes, that was out in stores today. Does it have different art on the cover? No, it does not. In fact, sorry to hit you up in 3D. Got to realize I have things that I'm working on, like all like scattered around. So just don't see them on camera. This is the revised book. Same exact cover. I don't even think this says, it doesn't even say that this is a revised edition of the rule book. It's my understanding the major change in the core rule book was just to clean it up a little bit to make it easier for people to understand. That was it. All it was. So, they've probably rephrased some things because, I can't see streamlining the rules more than they already are. It's a fast-moving game, which is good because that means the mysteries never overstay their welcome. So as far as, and I've reviewed everything from Vaesen to this point that's been released by Free League. And of course, outside of the new releases that just hit stores today. And the adventures, the mysteries themselves, even the ones that connect together as a campaign, the individual mysteries should be wrapped up in like a session. Well, okay, I take that back. In a couple of sessions. Maybe if your players are really invested in role playing, maybe you're looking at 3 sessions on occasion, which I like a lot because it's sort of like, okay, it doesn't wear its welcome out. Stephanie McEllie, I always screw up the last name. I think I mispronounced it. Says they're looking to pick up Mythic Carpathia and the starter set on payday. Got a copy of the core book. They find starter sets much easier to learn. Yes, well, that is how they're built, right? Who just asked? Somebody asked, who could be terrified of Jeff? There are plenty of gamers out there and people in the gaming industry who are not overly keen on me because I tell you what's on my mind, right? I do have a filter. It's not like I'm like insane, but I tell you like I see it, right? I call it as I see it. And yeah, got to realize nowadays, even if I do a review that, because I don't like to do negative reviews. I always hate to do negative reviews. And I always let a publisher know, hey, you know what? This review, we're probably looking like a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. And most of the time they're like, no, that's okay. Which is great because they already got a first look. But, there are people out there who they don't want a review, to be honest. They just want somebody to sit there and tell them, hey, this is awesome. This is great. Go buy this. Especially if it's something without, yes. Stephanie's like, Macalee is the same as Macaleer, but without the R. So I did pronounce it correctly. Anyway. Or, well, you got to keep in mind, the MC, depending, is pronounced differently. So if you're Irish, the MC is pronounced Mac, not Mick. It's Mac. And the reason is because if you know your history, the Irish weren't especially well thought of in many places. So saying, your name was Mac, people were like, oh, well, they're Scots. It's true. I'm not making it up. Shazama85 says, Jeff, I like you because you are a tiny bit insane. I'm just a throwback. I really am. I am just a throwback. I was raised a certain way. I look at the world in a certain way. But like talking about reviews, and then we're going to wrap this up. There are people out there, they'll go buy something and then they'll watch the review for it, or they'll go and watch a bunch of reviews for it. And it's kind of like, don't you think maybe you should have watched those reviews beforehand? But there are people out there, it's negativity. It's like, well, okay. But I'm telling you what this product is, what I think of this product, who may like it, who may not like it. If you take that as being negative, well, okay, well, go whistle Kumbaya and be on your way. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, there are a lot of people out. Well, I don't care. I don't want to see a lot of people, but there are people out there who, they don't want reviews. They do not want any sort of critical look at stuff that they like or they're interested in. All they want, and this, unfortunately, it goes beyond just the game industry. There are a lot of people out there who, they don't want honesty. They just want someone to agree with them or to back them up that, oh, yes, you're correct. Shazam85 says, I'm a bit of a throwback too. I get callers in the 80s and feel it in kinship. Yeah. Stephanie's talking about 400 years of tyranny. All righty. So, as I already pointed out, I guess we're going back to back to back. Vaesen. Tomorrow we're going to take a look at my City of Nightmares. It is my, right? Yep. Oh no, it's City of My Nightmares from Freely Publishing. Then on Thursday, yes, I know we'll be like real close to Halloween, but I would really prefer to do the Paizo preview live. So we're going to do the Paizo preview, and there is a lot for us to dive on into, including Monster Core 2. We've got Alien Core for Starfinder. We've got the next to last Adventure Path chapter. Because remember, no more monthly Pathfinder Adventure Path chapters, quarterly adventures. So we've got that. We got some flip mats. We had a lot of stuff we're going to take a look at on Thursday's show. So it'll be jam-packed. Stephanie also points out that they're looking forward to City of My Nightmares. When I wrap up the show tonight, I might pop upstairs and start reading the starter set for Vaesen. Once again, if you tuned in late, probably no shows next week. I like to take a week off every quarter to kind of re-energize a little bit, kind of recharge my batteries. Got to realize you don't see a lot of the negativity content creators get. And it can kind of wear on you after a bit. Thankfully, I'm pretty thick-skinned. And I'm pretty thick-skulled. But still. Anywho, that is it for this time out. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you. Because you not only kept me company, you also kept each other company while I'm sharing the news or flipping on through a role-playing game book. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you kindly for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. And of course, everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube, such as our good friend who does all those Paizo reviews. Anybody want to share a name? I find it funny because it's like, yeah, that lady contributor you got. It's like, you mean Sammy? Talking about Sammy? It's like, my lady contributor has a name. Well, you know, if you don't visit thegaminggang.com, you don't get to check out Sammy's reviews. You miss out. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. Of course, we are going to take a look at City of My Nightmares for Vaesen from Free League Publishing. And of course, if you like the video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell because it's supposed to notify you not only when the dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. It's also supposed to let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Old Gods of Appalachia, role-playing game from Monty Cook Games. If you're curious, check out my review. What's good? I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for putting up with my goofy voice with the congestion and sinuses still kind of much appreciated. And of course, as I always like to say, I certainly hope each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.